Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. Today I am looking at my Paisley. Paisley is such an elusive and magical material among rug hookers because it hooks so uniquely, beautifully. There's nothing that looks like Paisley. Paisley can be very, very expensive. If you're already a hooker and you shop for it, you know it can be super expensive. It's hard to find. You often find it in antique stores, but it is primo expensive, and this can be a problem for a lot of people. It becomes prohibitive when you're looking at a Paisley scarf and you'd love to have it, but it's $400, right? And you just want to cut it up to hook with it. It's very nice to find Paisley for a bargain, but I'm always looking for other options, and I'm always thinking to myself, what could hook like Paisley with that magic sort of je ne sais quoi about it, but not be a bank breaker, right? So first let's look at, for example, this piece I have rug hooked onto latch hook backing, which is something I do often. In the background, that's Paisley. So you see that kind of mixed color behind that real abstract little flower pot, that's Paisley. You see how wild and woolly it is? It kind of melts into itself and gives great, subtle, unmistakable, really beautiful colors. It really is a charmer. But it is the cost that really does us in with the Paisley. Now, I have been searching and I have found another material that I believe is at least as good as Paisley, and I'm gonna say it, I think it's better. So lately I've been working on a piece. Where did I put my piece to show you? I've been working on a Chagall piece that I just designed. Super excited about. Here it is. I'm working on the Design Like Chagall class. So I was making this design, if you can see it, just freshly off the frame. There's like a woman on a sheep's back, right? If you can see that graphic, giving a hug. You know how Chagall was with the people riding on goats and hugging the goats. Do you see this red material I have in the background above the autumn type trees? Do you see how wild and woolly that is, and how similar to Paisley that is? Well, do you know what that is? I wonder if you remember this material. I remember it from the 1980s, wearing Shelly scarves, Challis, Shelly. Shelly originally it's a woven, right? Originally it was a fairly loose woven, like a mix of like wool and silk, or rayon and silk, or rayon and wool. You can also get Shelly scarves and clothing, typically vintage, right? Because it's not a super popular material these days, but you can get Shelly scarves from vintage stores, from online sources, and they don't even have to be 100% wool. They often are, and they say when they are, but they can be synthetic or they can be 100% acrylic and still be really lovely. Let me show you some of my Shelly collection that I've been working with lately. So this is Shelly, right? I mean, you can get Shelly that is Paisley, like inspired, and I don't typically go for that. Maybe this is, but it's more crazy colors, right? I tend to go for the crazy colors because with Shelly scarves, it feels just like Paisley, like proper antique Paisley. It is that kind of a woven. Some of these are 100% wool, others are 100% acrylic. They all hook really well, and you can get a beautiful scarf that's quite large, right? Like this is going to be quite large, and this is something like $5 to $10, right? And the shipping would be very low if you're getting it online. But the amount of color variation that's in a Shelly scarf as opposed to a Paisley scarf, right? Paisley scarves are very historic, beautiful, incomparable. But if you do want to compare, and if you do want to try something that's a little bit less expensive, you can look for these Shelly scarves, right? They really are so beautiful, and you get some color variations, color choices that just didn't exist, or you would not be able to get as a Paisley scarf. I mean, how irresistible is this? So the next obvious question is, this is beautiful. This is completely affordable. This handles just like Paisley, but how does it hook? Now this is the exact scarf that I'm using in the Chagall. I've already cut into a little bit, but you can see it's a bit of a Paisley, a bright Paisley, lots of great blues, blacks, reds, purples, mustards. And all I'm doing here is taking the scarf. You could do this also with a rotary cutter if you're a quilter. And I'm just cutting pieces like this. If you know me, you know that I am not precious. about how wide does it have to be? Does it have to be exactly wide? If it has to be exactly wide to you because it's driving you crazy, then make yours, use your rotary cutter and make it just so every time. But for me, I'm very happy cutting up my challis scarves on my lap, in this case for the video on the table, with my regular scissors. And this is how it hooks. I think it is quite beautiful. Here's my piece in front of us. Now, this is the challis part that I've done. This piece I've done already, right? And there's a piece here that I've done already, filling in the background. I think it hooks in a very sort of Chagall-like manner because it's very colorful. It changes color as it goes. I've got my strip right in front of me. I just hook it the same way. There does tend to be a brighter side and a slightly darker side, or less bright, right? It's beautiful all the way around, but one side is the right side and the other side is the wrong side. If you are somebody who has hooked with Paisley before, it hooks like a dream. Big fat loops come up, a little bit of sort of unraveling on the edges, give it that wild and woolly look, unexpected. Each loop you pull up is like a dream. It's like, what'll it be next? Is it dark? Is it light? Is it golden? Is it purple? It hooks like a dream. And you can kind of tuck bits and pieces in as you go. But what you get really is unexpected loops, right? Unexpected material. A nice little mix of all the colors in your Paisley. It hooks absolutely like a dream. So what I would say to you, if you are a person who's always looking for new materials, who loves that elusive Paisley, hooking with the Paisley, I would say get on one of the online sites like eBay or Etsy, or check your local thrift store, your Goodwill. Be looking for these scarves. You do get a feel for whether it's Paisley or not. And some of them actually say, challis. They're that interchangeable. Shelly or not, some of them actually say, this one has a little tag on it that actually says Shelly by Berkshire. That's the brand, right? These are vintage. And this one is 100% acrylic, just like the one I'm using here. And honestly, as someone who has hooked a lot of Paisley, this is a very, very, very fair substitute, right? I mean, for me, they are almost interchangeable, but the effect that you get, that elusive and magical look that is only present in Paisley, well, guess what? It's also present in challis. It cuts the same way, it feels the same way, it hooks the same way, and it costs a lot less. And you get a lot of color variation, right? I mean, a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's another rabbit hole to go down. I'm sorry, but it is. Have a good look and see what you can find, what kind of wool challis, challis, or just wool, 100% wool scarves you can find, because chances are they're challis. Remember, the acrylic is also fine and the blends are fine. They hook great for your art pieces. Not so much for floor pieces if they aren't wool, but for wall pieces, they are beautiful and they have that magic quality about them. Something new to search for, something new to hunt, right? Have fun, and I will see you next time on Ribbon Candy Hooking.